And we will start, man. And welcome back to the next episode of Talk Smack with Mac. I got a badass guest for you guys today. This dude's name is Sean, Las Vegas talent photographer. He's photographing all the most badass people in the city. And that's all I know.
Let's talk smack.
Sean, I appreciate you jumping on, man.
Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I can't complain, man. Anytime I'm podcasting, I'm chilling, having a good time, feeling good.
Right. Working it out.
Endorphins are releasing in my body just because I'm so just focused.
Loving it.
Yeah.
How long you been doing it now?
I started May of last year.
Okay.
So
Makes sense.
like 14, 15 months, something
Right.
like that. It's been one hell of a journey, one hell of a road. I've met a lot of people, talked to a lot of people, fucked up a lot, like how we were just talking about. You know how many times I have been sitting here having a conversation like this, and I'm like, man, this is fucking great. And then later on, after the guest leaves, I look at my camera and there was no recording. Or
You at least get audio though?
Yeah, I got the audio
Wow.
because of the mics and shit, but for a video podcast, it's like, damn, man, I fucked up on half of this.
Right. Yeah. 50%, right?
Yeah. So, I'm trying to be meticulous with how I get set up and how it looks and shit like that. And like we were saying before, you learn the hard way. And then hopefully you don't repeat your failures or
Right.
mistakes.
Fuck up a couple times and then eventually fuck up less and less and then
No fuck ups. Every once in a while, just to keep me modest.
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Keep you honest with yourself.
Yeah. So speaking of, fucking up and long journeys and stuff, you're a photographer, right?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that for?
Technically since high school, right after high school, but I'd say professionally the last 5-6 years, somewhat obviously decent is about 6 years now.
6 years, 5 years, 6 years professionally. That's interesting, man.
Yeah.
Have you done it only in Vegas or?
Well, I'm originally from California.
What part?
So Southern,
Okay.
Corona to be exact, if you've ever driven by it. So I started out there, and then I don't really count any of that stuff. It's just kind of like learning and like more artsy, just kind of shooting things. So I wouldn't really count it until I moved out here where like things got serious and I was actually building clientele. I was getting more and more, legit photo shoots and clients like under my belt and things where it's like, oh, okay, like someone's paying you or this is a good client. Like you kind of know what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So that's where I say like 6 years is where
That gives me hope.
yeah.
I've been doing this for nowhere near 6 years.
Right.
And I have my good days, I have my bad days. Some days I wake up and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? This seems impossible. And then, I'll have days where I actually do a podcast and I feel absolutely fantastic afterwards. And I'm like, that's why I do it. Not
Right.
because of the fame or whatever the fuck that, the pipe dreams. It's because it makes me happy and I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy having a conversation with people. And like I talked to you before, I want to generally create that platform for talent that needs to be recognized. So you got to have your whys to keep you going. But 5-6 years, man, that's tough. Is there any advice that you would give to people that's just starting off saying, man, I need to build a portfolio. Nobody's really giving me a chance. How do I do this?
That's a good question. It's kind of tough to answer it blanket statement, but if I were to give any sort of advice, figure out what you want to shoot and then build something in that. Like if you want to shoot music, obviously everyone usually knows a local DJ or a friend that has a band, local things like that. Start there. So shoot your friend's band, shoot the dive bar, kind of get your feet wet with that and then build up from that. Then you have a little bit more in that category to show, hey, I do music, or hey, I do food. Hey, I do, the list goes on and on. So start with what you want to shoot, start in that category and kind of build from there.
Yeah.
So that's the advice that I would give.
That like a light bulb went off when you started talking. That's how I remember I ran into you. I commented on some UFC fighters video video, and I was like, dude, this is a fucking badass video. And he tagged you. He was like, this is all, and I was like, oh shit, okay, let me hit this guy up.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it reminds me. So you're speaking of MMA fighters, you photograph UFC fighters, MMA fighters. How did you fall into that? Like you said, you're just chasing, doing what you love?
So yeah, a lot of my work is in the fitness and MMA realm. How I actually got started in the MMA space is a buddy of mine, a UFC fighter, Khalil Roundtree. We've known each other since we've known each other for about 10 years now. And so when I moved out here and he was just getting his feet wet in the UFC, you know, obviously naturally we're gonna link up and shoot some photos. And so I shot him at the UFC PI, and this was like right when the PI had opened, so it was like brand new. And so ever since then, just shot him, and then you meet other fighters in the gym, and then you just kind of try to snowball from there and network and meet the next person. And yeah, I'm here, I'm doing this. Here's what I can do. But Khalil Roundtree is the one who actually got me started in the MMA space.
Hey, man, shout out to Khalil, you know, giving his homie a chance. So do they just let you in the gym for free? You just get to go in there and do what you want, kind of?
For certain, like with COVID, it's a lot harder now. Obviously, they don't really like any outside people. But generally speaking, yes, you're able to get in because you're with the fighter. They'll bring you in as, hey, this is my photo guy, this is my video guy. And they usually don't really care. You know, you sign a waiver, whatever, they don't really care. The only thing that they do care about is like they try to kind of keep you, if you're there shooting that fighter, kind of stick to that fighter. Yeah. Don't just shoot other people in the gym for a number of reasons. For the space itself, like UFC PI, they don't really like that. And then also, you know what I mean? It's kind of weird to like shoving a camera in someone's face. They don't know who you are.
Yeah.
So like, what are you doing, dude?
And also, it's like if you're in a training camp preparing for a big fight, you don't want to give away your training habits. That's what you're practicing, what you're hammering every single day. So
and that's a big one. And that's like it's interesting being in the gyms for that reason, because a lot of people are like, don't photograph me, don't video me. And it's like, whoa, I'm here for my one or two.
I won't, dude. Don't trip.
Yeah, and it's funny because the times where people have like seen me in the gym and like called me, oh, don't get me on photo, don't get me on video. It's like, I'm not. First of all, I don't even know who you are, so I'm not.
Yeah.
And second of all, I'm there to do.
You have a job.
Yeah, I got to focus on my fighter or my 3 fighters, 4, sometimes 4 fighters. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm not worried about you, dude or girl. You know what I mean? Like, trust me, I'm not going after.
Has there ever been a time when they were like, man, let me see. I think you were taking pictures of me.
No, they've only started it like if they're doing warm-ups or, you know what I mean, things like that. They're just like, don't get me on photo or don't get me on video. And it's like, okay, I'm not.
Are you in there? Are you shooting videos too?
Sometimes okay. I'll do photos. Sometimes I'm there for video.
Okay, just depending on what that specific person has for you.
Yeah, depending on what the client wants, what the fighter wants. If they want photo that day or they want video, or sometimes I'm able to kind of do both. If like at Extreme Couture where I shoot there a lot, I'm able to juggle photo and video because I know my settings and I know my areas. I've shot there so much, it's easy to kind of dance between the two realms.
Yeah. Man, Extreme Couture, I was just looking at that gym to try to sign up in the last week.
You should.
It's on the other side of town, right? South side?
From you, yeah, they're all over. So, yeah, they're on Sunset and Valley View.
Yeah, so one...
It's a drive for you.
That's a pain in the ass, but I start school back up. I go UNLV, so Tuesday and Thursday, I'm pretty much there.
Right.
And then I was looking at it, I was like, COVID is kind of weird. And then I'm still not completely opposed to the idea, but it's fucking expensive.
Is it really? What are they, like $170 a month type thing?
I think it was over $200. Don't
really?
Quote me on that. Hey, Extreme Couture, if I'm fucking you guys over right now, man, you guys are the shit. You have amazing people in there. I'm fucking broke. So if I'm getting the numbers wrong, you guys could, fact check me. But, it's worth it, though. The people that you have in there, the experience, the diversity. You have Ngannou trains there or had his last training camp there, right?
He's out of there now. He's out of there, I think, like full time now. Like,
yeah,
it's not
so you don't meet Jerry down the street and fucking, Jose that trains on Tuesdays. You're meeting the fucking the heavyweight, most badass motherfucker on the planet. Yeah. So you get what you pay for sure. You could pay X amount of dollars to go to Extreme Couture, or you could save $40 a month and go to, Harry and Stacy around the corner. So the money is definitely worth it. So I might have to just bite the bullet.
They have great coaches too. Shout out to Coach Eric Nixick and Eddie. They're great. I love those guys. So
I want to get some of those guys on the pod.
You should.
Those guys with just all right, so I have a BJJ mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
All I do is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I want to talk to those guys,
Yeah.
pick their brains and learn from them, because I'm no expert by any means. You know, I dabbled in boxing a little bit, but I want to learn from these guys. And a person that's a master at their craft, it's like, why wouldn't you want to talk to them?
that'd be a good conversation.
Yeah, right? Well, it would be more like me just sitting there confused as fuck and then them just blurting some shit out.
Trying to keep up with what they're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, some good dudes
Do
over
you
there.
train at all?
No.
Do you have any...
I mean, I does hitting the punching bag in the garage count as anything?
Fuck yeah, man. Us-
If you don't move and you don't hit me back, then yeah.
Us casuals, you know, that's how we... Yeah, man, I train.
No, I did jujitsu for a few months.
Out here?
No, this was back in. So I signed up for at the UFC gym back in California. I thought, oh, this would be cool, right? Because they have classes. I quickly realized that it's not an actual gym for those martial arts. It's kind of like a watered down crash course in a
Yeah.
sense. Like so,
Self-defense kind of thing.
yeah, it's like jujitsu or like Muay Thai, but like, you know, you're doing Muay Thai with, like you said, like Harry and
Yeah.
freaking, you know, like your mom who's just trying to lose weight. So it's like not really what you thought if you're
Mm-hmm.
going into it trying to like learn those disciplines. So yeah, I did jujitsu for a few months, then I eventually quit the gym, and then obviously later on moved out. So I haven't.
When you're actually in these gyms and you have all these badasses around you, do any of them mention it? Like, hey, man, you want to
They-
get down here and roll a little bit? Or when are you
would
going to
think
start
that
training?
they would, or you would think
Never?
that no one just, I guess, because I'm just there to like, I'm there and I'm so focused on doing like visual work, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one's ever thought, hey, dude, throw on some shorts and let's roll or anything. I guess it's also me, right? Because I never say anything either. Like, hey, now that I'm done, I might as well roll. I'm in here hours on end. I
You want to get
should.
the fuck out.
Yeah.
I don't
But
blame you.
I
don't
should.
blame
I
you.
want to. You know,
Yeah.
part of me is like, why does it always have to be, work? Like, I'm in the gym a few times a week with these guys shooting. Why shouldn't I, roll
Stay
or
for
hit
an
the
extra
pads?
hour
Yeah.
or so. Especially with some of those guys, man. I'd be salivating being in there like, oh.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not like I'd be, I wouldn't be hitting pads with Francis or,
just in the same realm. It
Same-
would like
yeah.
light a fire under my ass to just get after it.
Yeah.
I got to get down there. I
You
need to
have to.
stop talking about it and be about
You
that
have
shit.
to. Dude, especially in that realm, like when Eric is training his guys and they have this thing called Sicko Saturday, and they pretty much put their guys through the gauntlet on Saturday. They treat it like a 5-round fight.
Yeah.
So, cage is locked and it's go time. And so a lot of things that get me pumped up just being on the outside doing photos is Eric pumping up his fighters.
Yes.
Dude, it gives me goosebumps talking about like when he's like giving his speeches and telling them, like mindset or just little tips. It gets me fired up. And like I said, I'm not even in the cage. I'm nowhere even near a fighter. And it's like, oh, dude, I want to, I want to
you
go
make me
too.
wanna get in there and do this
I mean,
shit.
even just in general, like even just in life, like not even applying it to MMA, just in general, like, you know what I mean? Bite down and fucking go for it. And it's like, dude, hell yeah. Like you need people like that in your life to just be like, shit sucks, toughen up and go for it. If
You got to
want
weather
it,
that storm. Yeah.
If you want it, go for it.
And honestly, if you're not going to lock yourself in there and do what your coach is telling you, why are you even there?
Yeah.
Why are you pursuing that goal or dream? Just do it for fun. Be honest with yourself. There's a lot of badass motherfuckers out there, man, that do bite down on their mouthpiece and just open up like a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And those are the people that get you pumped up because you're like, man, I know what's about to come down.
Dude, I'm telling you, when you're in there and they're 2 weeks out, 2 to 3 weeks out of a fight, and it's that mentality of like I'm focused on one thing, and you're in that environment, it's a crazy feeling. Because like I said,
Intense
you're
as
excited
fuck.
too. You're like, oh my
Yeah.
god, like this dude or this girl's ready. Like holy shit, like I'm excited for this.
Hey, you just sold me. You should be a spokesperson for Extreme
because
Couture.
I also get, it's kind of like when UFC does Embedded and they kind of show you a little bit behind the scenes, a little bit like day-to-day life or a little bit
or
things that
like
you don't see.
24/7 or all access for boxing.
Yeah, you get to see the day in, day out where you're like, man, like they've been busting their ass for this. And so, like I said, you're 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out, you're nowhere near the lights and the camera and the action yet, and you see them putting in the work, the hours and the hours, and you're just like, dude, I am so excited for this. So it's such a good energy to be around. Like I said, I don't fight, but I apply it to what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
The mentality they're building. Those guys are so mentally tough. They're building that callous on their minds to just go in there and be warriors, modern day Spartans and gladiators and shit, and put on a show. It's got to be infectious.
Yeah.
It's gotta be. So who are some of the your favorite people that you've photographed or recorded?
One of my so I do a lot of work with Dan Ige. He's one of my favorites that I've worked with, which is cool because I'm in there so much with Coach Eric, Dan Ige, and all these guys that like you kind of get past just a photograph video level of like just somebody doing, like you start to become friends with them. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah. So it's cool to develop that relationship when you see him, and it's like not just, hey, photo person. It's like, oh, what's up, dude? How's the kid? You know what I mean? Like, oh, what's going on? Yeah. Oh, check out that food spot. Did you go there? Like those things. And so that's what's cool to build that community. Like I said, even though I'm not a fighter, I'm barely even work out as it is, but we can kind of blur those lines of you're the visual guy and you're the athlete, you know? So
that's one thing that I've noticed is that people in the MMA world or just fighting world in general are so nice. They're so, hey man, I get punched in the face for a living. I don't really want to be a dick. You know, I've had a bunch of different athletes on this podcast, and by far, I'm talking about by a landslide, fighters have been the nicest. The people that will get on the podcast regularly, have a cool ass conversation with. They're not divas. You know, you have certain people that have to put on a diva-esque role to, you know, sell tickets and shit. But I think as a whole, the majority of fighters are just really nice people.
And you wouldn't believe it either. And they're not only are they nice, they're really calm. Like in general, they're not like hyper or aggressive. They don't, you know what I mean? They don't fly off the handle. It's like they're calm in 90% of it. And you're like, wow, that's interesting. Because like you said, 2-3 weeks out or fight camp, and they're in camp mode. They're a different person.
Yeah, locked in.
But they're
ready
still
to go
nice.
to war.
It's, like I said, they're still. It's not like they're working on that craft, and then as soon as that round is over or their training session's done, they're back to just being normal Joe. You know, like, hey, what's going on? Oh,
I wonder if it's hard to turn that on and off.
I'm sure it is, because like you said, like it's. When you're in camp mode and you're in a fight in a week, 2 weeks,
you're so
your
locked
mindset's
in
not
to
like
kill.
you and I just or even just normal working out, right? Like, oh, I gotta get this sweat in. No, it's different. You're visualizing that fight. You're visualizing everything leading up to it. So I imagine, it's got to be hard to.
Yeah, it has to be. Your mind just doesn't check in, check out that easily. No. You listen to, I don't know if you ever heard of any like actors who tapped into a role so much that they forgot who they were at times. Charlie Hunnam playing Jack Teller.
Yep.
He said there was times when he'd be driving his car, you know, off air and had to trip on the motherfucker and felt like he was gonna loke up on him, and he's like, oh shit, I'm not actually that guy. I can't do that. Yeah. So it's, for fighters, I can only imagine how tough that may be. So, speaking of fighters, man, you're an MMA guy, MMA geek. You said that's the only sport that you watch.
Yeah.
Who's some of your favorite fighters?
Some of my favorite fighters, I mean, I like the classics, the Anderson Silvas, the Chuck Liddells, the Tito Ortizes, you know.
So you've been doing this for a while.
I mean, not really, but I did start in that era of the Chuck Liddells, the Rampage Jacksons.
That's like 15 years, man.
Has it really been 15 years?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Chuck Liddell was like running shit from around 05 to like 2009, 2010.
Well,
so
damn.
Time's going.
Okay, well, yeah. So the OGs of that, the GSPs, of course. Some of the newer ones. Who do I like? That's kind of new. Sean O'Malley's, the flashy ones are cool.
Oh,
you good?
Excuse. My manager's over there. He's hitting me with some facts and knowledge and shit. But Sean O'Malley, he's decent. Well, not decent. He's a badass.
Yeah, he's cool.
He has that potential to sell a lot of tickets, put a lot of asses in the seats. His last fight The knock on him is that he hasn't fought any credible person. And then he just came out and he said, why? Why would I take a top 15 fight if I could fight this guy and get paid the same?
Right.
Why risk it?
Yeah.
And then at the other end, Sean O'Malley, you have the skill, you got the look, on camera, you look great, sound great, talk your shit, put on a show in the cage. His last fight again, I keep on forgetting this dude's name. The dude that filled in.
Oh, Chris.
That dude's a fucking warrior, man. He got punched so many times. I think before that fight, he went to the mirror and he looked himself in the mirror and he said, "This is my only fucking shot that I'm gonna get. I'm not gonna stop." And that dude pressed forward the entire fight until it was stopped. 30 seconds at the end of the third round, that dude kept pressing forward.
Yeah, he didn't give up at all. He didn't quit.
A lot of knock on Sean O'Malley is, man, you can even finish this guy. Well, one, that dude was tough as fuck. And two, one thing that impressed me so much with Sean O'Malley in that fight is his ability to fight going backwards.
Right.
He was getting pressed the entire fight, so he was constantly walking backwards, and was still firing off combos. People that don't do this or like just are casual fans, they don't really appreciate the art. That's fucking hard.
Yeah.
The amount of footwork and coordination that you have to be on like a fast walk or slow jog backwards while firing off kicks and uppercuts and hooks and jabs and all of that shit.
Yeah, because you're always taught to move forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
To get closer to that target you're hitting. You're not taught to move away and still hit. You're taught to move away, but you're not taught to move away and still hit that target that's coming at you. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a tough thing. And it's also tough because how many people do it? Not many. Chuck Liddell was one to do it. And then I think Wonder Boy is another person who fights really well, counter-striking.
He's super unorthodox in general because he's the little karate style kickboxer. Wonder Boy is the shit.
Yeah.
He just lost that fight against Gilbert Burns, but this dude, he's been doing this for a long time. I listened to the Joe Rogan podcast with him, and they kind of gave his backstory. His dad is like a fucking super assassin type guy back in the day, hardcore, old school mentality trainer and shit like that. Did like Muay Thai overseas, and Wonder Boy does this shit. And I feel like people, back to the casuals, I keep on using that term. Any person that doesn't really watch UFC or MMA and you turn on a fight and you have Wonder Boy with the side fucking karate stance, you're going to be like, this guy's going to get fucked up. Little do they know, he's one of the most badass people on this planet. So shout out to Wonder Boy.
But it's the same thing though. Like when you turn on, a basketball game that you're not familiar, thinking the same thing. Oh, big deal, he made that shot, or oh, big deal, he missed that shot, and it's like you don't understand that was a hard shot, or you know what I mean, those things. So I get it. I understand when you turn on, you're like, well, what's so impressive about that? Like, well, if you actually knew, then you would probably have a little bit more respect for what's going on or what you're watching.
Mm-hmm. Even just like a head kick. That shit is hard.
Yeah, just try to kick somebody in the head. Like, walk up to somebody and be like, I got to get my foot all the way up there and then connect.
Without falling, tripping, losing my balance, all of that shit. And I still have to defend what you're throwing back at me.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
hard, man. Like, I've been trying to work on my flexibility so I can maybe one day attempt that shit when I go down to Extreme Couture. When I get in there, maybe they can get me right. But yeah, there's a lot of respect that goes to what these guys do. One of my favorite weight classes right now is the 155 division. Khabib just retired, as we all know. Mm-hmm. But you have Dustin, who's a monster. Yep. He had one of the greatest fights I ever seen. Him and Dan Hooker last year. That was absolutely amazing. Yeah, that was so much fun to watch. You got Michael Chandler coming over. He made noise by knocking out Dan Hooker, and he was pretty fucking close to winning the title. And that would have changed everything. The whole notion that Bellator isn't, on the same level as UFC, but he didn't.
Yep.
Charles Oliveira is the champion. He got the win. That dude is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Darush, I think he's like the third-ranked guy in that division. He's solid. Of course, you got Conor, who hasn't really done shit in 5 years, but he's still Conor.
Right.
I don't know if Nate will fight at 155 ever again. I think he's stuck on 170 now.
He might be done with 155.
Yeah, but that 55 division is...
It's pretty nasty.
Fucking awesome, man. They got some people in that division. But UFC in general, you know, you move up 170 division. That's Usman just running shit.
Yeah.
Shout out to Africa and all the African fighters that are just champions right now. Well, we have three. Izzy.
Yep.
Ngannou and Usman.
Yep.
And like, it doesn't really look like anybody's gonna fuck with those guys. Ngannou, he's a freak of nature, man.
He's a beast.
Hey, speaking of which, you've been right next to this guy. Do you go up to like below his titties, like below his nipples?
So yeah, he's like 6'5", and he's like, so Coach Eric is, I think he's like 6'1", and he's a big dude himself. And you stand them next to each other, and Ngannou towers over and makes him look like a normal guy. Mm-hmm. So like if I stood next to Coach Eric, I'd look like a normal guy, and then you put Eric next to, if you put like all three of us, you'd be like, holy shit, you'd really see the size difference of Ngannou. And I was in there one time where they were hitting pads and he started throwing kicks. Mm-hmm. It's scary. Like it's scary him, because all that's protecting Eric from that bone is this little pad, and just hearing it just crack. Yeah. I'm like, oh my, like this is scary. Like it's scary watching you punch, and then this dude's throwing these legs around. I'm like, no, thank you. Dude, you start throwing kicks, I'm out the door.
Oh yeah,
I'm out the door.
It was like a running joke when we were boxing younger. It's like, hey man, we'll throw hands all day. If you kick me, I'm going to get my gun.
Yeah, exactly. What have you done differently? I'm gonna get a gun. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, fuck. And then Ngannou was like, why even fuck with that guy? I'd look at him and be like, hey man, why are we even doing this right now? Have a good day.
Whatever I did,
I'm sorry. It was an accident. I didn't even mean to do that. One of my favorite martial artist actors ever, Michael Jai White, was just at one of the gyms with Ngannou. And they were training and shit. That would have been so fucking awesome if you would have seen that or got some shots of that. But Michael Jai White is a big fucking guy. He's probably like 6'1", probably 225. Yep. He looked fucking tiny. He was dwarfed next to Ngannou. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
That makes me think John Jones moving up. You know, John Jones is used to fighting at 205. John Jones is one of the most fully diverse, well-rounded fighters in the history of the game. But Ngannou's just a big guy.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I think that's a tough one because Jones obviously probably has the footwork and the speed advantage. Mm-hmm. But I just think Ngannou, you know what I mean? A couple of those shots and it's a different realm.
Yeah. The one thing that people forget about John Jones is that his family is super athletes.
Yeah, aren't like both of his brothers like NFL
players? But one of his brothers is going to be a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best defensive ends in the league, Chandler Jones. Those guys are 260 something. So it's like it's in his blood to just be a bigger guy.
Right.
So I think going up, because he said he wants to be as big as Ngannou, so I'm assuming he wants to be at that limit at 265. I think it's going to be a little bit easier for him because his body is just, I guess, well adaptive to putting on weight, putting on muscle.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, how much of that weight is going to slow you down?
Yeah. How much is it going to be negative versus positive?
Or even cardio aspect. You know, you go in there and you're used to fighting at 205. You were the greatest light heavyweight ever.
Yeah.
But then you're fighting at 60 plus pounds. It's going to be hard to breathe. Yeah. He also carrying all that muscle.
He also pushes a pace too. You know, he doesn't just stand there or wait. Like he pushes a pretty heavy pace. So it would be interesting to see how that cardio and that weight do affect him if he does fight at heavyweight.
Mm-hmm. Which he is.
Oh, really? It's confirmed he's gonna
for sure. He's fighting at heavyweight. Stipe wants to fight him. Ooh. I feel like this fucked up. Stipe got like just shit on. He lost against a freak of a man in Ngannou. But it's like, okay, he doesn't even get a rematch. I'm not even talking about him fighting again. He's like, what the fuck is going on? I fought DC 3 times. Every time we fought, immediate rematch.
Right.
But now the UFC wants to build this super mega fight with John Jones and Ngannou, and they're forgetting one of the pioneers of the heavyweight division, especially in the last 10 years. How can you forget about Stipe?
I think on paper he
is the number one contender.
Well, not only that, but I think on paper he has the best stats. He was the first one to ever defend the heavyweight title twice. Mm-hmm. And then I think he was like the only one to ever have in the heavyweight division or in recent years of like more than like a 3-fight win streak.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was some weird stat like that where like it's not like, oh, that's it. But because the heavyweight division is so up and down at all times, that he was like the first one to defend twice, and then like a 3-fight win streak.
Yeah, and he beat DC twice. You can't sleep on that.
Yeah.
Daniel Cormier is one of the greatest fighters ever.
Yep.
Not just UFC or MMA. The homie is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. DC does this, and Stipe beat him twice.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, man, I know you want to fight fires and be a fighter and shit, but don't forget about Stipe in this heavyweight division.
Yeah, that's also another thing. Like, I wonder if it's also him kind of, focusing on that.
On firefighter?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
I wish I
it's
did.
not a call him up. Like,
Yeah. Hey, Stipe, man, you fucking fighting fires over here, bro?
how
Or
you feeling?
you ready to fight? But no, I mean, with him coming out and actually saying shit to the media, like, hey, man, what about me? That makes me think like he's ready. Nobody that's sitting around, drinking beers, fighting fires, having my day job. Nobody's going to be like, hey, why the fuck ain't I fighting right now? So that notion gives me the idea that he's like, hey, man, I want to get in here and slang and bang with these motherfuckers too. And don't forget, people forget he beat Ngannou the first time they fought.
Did.
Beat his ass too.
It wasn't close at all.
Yeah. And then, I mean, of course, Ngannou is way better. He's a way more rounded fighter. And he's always had that power, but his power just seems different now. He could barely clip you, and then it's lights out.
So I think it's like a lot more focused now, where it's like before it was just brutal natural power. And then now that he has, Coach Eric in his corner, it's like, okay, let's kind of...
You got that. We don't need to worry about that.
You can throw a freaking cannon all day, but let's, A, work on other areas, and then B, let's kind of channel that, and let's throw punches, not just this cannon at all times. Let's
get some combos out there.
Let's get a little bit more technique involved.
Yeah, so. use the feet a little bit more, use the hips a little bit more, work on those check hooks, those pivots.
Yep.
Maybe even like a walking backwards uppercut. Because let me explain myself. Ngannou is a freak of nature standing. Nobody wants to stand and slang and bang with him, so they're going to try to take him down, right? So work on your takedown defense, stuff that shit at all times. But if they shoot and you walk back and hit an uppercut, it's lights out.
Yeah.
Who just did that? It was Derek Lewis, I think, against, was it Curtis Blades? Derek Lewis just knocked him out with one of them short, choppy uppercuts.
Right.
And that goes back to what you're saying about the heavyweight division so up and down. Is because these some big fucking guys.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
Yeah. It like just because you're 265 pounds and I'm 155, that doesn't mean your chin is stronger than mine. But you have 100 pounds of freak power coming at it.
Yeah, got a lot more weight coming at me. What do you? Where do you currently train right now?
Man, I just do some training at my house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm actually, like I said, I'm looking for a gym. I've been lifting weights a lot the last year, but I'm kind of bored of that. I want to do something else. I want to learn a martial art. Get in there and, I spar at least like once a week. I have guys come over here that spar with me. I do Spartan races and shit like that. I have another Spartan race coming up, so I'm just getting ready to check back in to go for that. But I need a martial arts. It's like I talk about it enough. I love it. And when I'm in love with something like that and I talk about it, I want to be about it. Yeah. Maybe I don't want to be a fucking fighter. Hats off to those guys. I don't want to get punched in the face for a living.
Right.
I'll just get punched in the face because I like it.
But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. It's like, it's kind of like with any community that it's nice to be part of something, even like you said, like I'm not trying to be a fighter. I'm not trying to go to the extreme, but it is to that level, but it is nice to just be responsible for something that, 2 times a week, 3 times a week, I'm going to go to this thing and I'm going to learn and I'm going to feel good. And it's something to look forward to. Yeah.
Do they have showers at Extreme?
Yeah, Couture? They have. I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Cause I think what is going to happen, and I'm saying it on the podcast, so I got to actually do this shit. I think I'm going to sign up, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays when I have school, just go there every 4.
Yeah. What are you going to school for?
Accounting.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, it'll pay the bills if I need to, a good little fallback plan. I'd rather just do this, but...
Yeah, you got to have something, right?
Yeah, and actually accounting, I love numbers, and when this podcast does get to where I want it to go, I'm going to be the person that knows where my money's coming in and my money's going out.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna handle my money but me.
Yeah, I mean that's what I did for years before I was full-time photography. I was in construction. I've been an electrician since out of high school, and coming up on September 18th will be my first full year doing photos. So
yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
How did it feel to like take that, I guess, leap of faith, if you will, or were you confident in the beginning that you had everything in place to be good to go?
So it was kind of both. It was kind of the timing needed to be there because I always wanted to make that transition from photos on the side, juggling the 9-to-5 job and all that, to could I do this full time, all freelance? And so luckily the timing worked out last September where I was ready, where it's like, dude, I'm so busy. If I'm not sleeping, I'm either working construction or I'm doing photos or I'm editing. And it's kind of came to the point where it's like, shit, or get off the pot. And so I was like, you know what, dude, like I'm going to quit. I have some money saved up. I got a little cushion. I'm going to quit and we'll see how long. If it lasts a month, cool. If it lasts 6 months, whatever. I gave it a shot. And like I said, I'm coming up on a year now and
no signs of slowing down.
I don't plan on looking back and I don't plan on slowing down.
I applaud you, man.
Yeah.
That's one. It's nerve wracking. You got this steady source of income. It's coming in. You're living good.
Yep.
And then you're like, I'm going to completely take this away and chase my dreams.
Yep.
Oh, that's scary, and a lot of people don't do it.
Yeah.
But I feel like when people do take that leap of faith, and it does turn out, they do give it their all, and they make it what they want. It's fucking so rewarding mentally, and I guess just mentally, you're just happy. I'm assuming all the time because you're doing what you love.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I still get grumpy over
I'm
normal
sure.
things, but yeah, I always have to put myself in check or remind myself, like, dude, you don't have a boss anymore, so to speak. Yeah, you have clients. You still have to answer to somebody whatever it is that they want out of this project, but you don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. anymore, clock in. You don't have to handle, work with a boss or people that you don't get along with. Like, bro, this is cool. I could wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning every day and sit in PJs and eat cereal if I wanted to. You know what I mean? So there's definitely a lot to be grateful for. Of like, dude, you've made it to the point that you've always wanted to be at. You work for yourself. You have an open schedule. You can be as busy as you want to or not busy as you want to. So I can't complain.
And how do you juggle that? How do you juggle of, hey, I want to work as much as I can because I love it, but also I have to find a balance so I don't go insane?
It's tough. I'm still learning that aspect of it. Like this past weekend, I shot. So I had to shoot Friday night, I had to shoot from 6 p.m. till 2:30 a.m. Then Saturday, I shot the pool club at 2:30 p.m. and then had to be back at the nightclub at 11 p.m. on Saturday. So I was toast. And so yesterday, Monday, and today, Tuesday, were like my days off. Like, you got your work done. I got my gallery sent off to the client. Now I need to just be a normal person and not do anything photo related. Don't think about photos. Don't think about editing, and just be a normal person. Watch TV, watch a documentary, like work out in the garage, like repair things around the house, like be a normal person. It's tough to find that balance, but I'm learning that as I go, that I can't work 24/7. I don't care what meme or little inspirational quote you see about grinding till you die type stuff. Like that's not realistic. Like,
that's how you drive yourself into the ground.
You drive yourself insane. And then I don't ever want like what I do for work to turn into a job and it's now I have to do this. Now I have to do it. I gotta do it. Like, I still want to love that I get to do it and that I get paid to do it.
Yes.
So I don't ever want that feeling to turn into.
When it gets like that, that's when you dial it back a little bit.
When it starts to get that of like, okay, you had a big rush this weekend, you had a lot going on. Let's get some rest. Let's recoup for whatever's going to come next and ease back into it.
Yeah. I've seen Gary Vee, one of my favorite inspirational guys. He came out and he said, out of the like 250 days that I work per year, take out the weekends and the holidays, there's 7 to like 28 days out of that 250 where I'm like, fuck this. I just don't want to work today. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the end of the world if you take a day off. He said, hey, I've been grinding my ass off like you just said. I'm fucking tired. I want to relax. Let me take a day off, check out, and just kind of recoup a little bit. And he said, or even on the flip side, he said, maybe it's Wednesday, your business is going great, you just moved to LA, you want to check out the city, take the day off and enjoy yourself. Finding that balance and being even keel at all times. That's very important, especially in something of building your own shit.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that moderator to tell you, hey, slow down or pick up. You have to tell yourself.
Yeah. And that's what's tough too, is like you said, like I don't have a set schedule anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't have anything that Monday, here I go, I'm off at this time, Tuesday it's in the same. No, I am my own schedule. So you have to find the balance between working 24/7 and resting, or just doing normal things. Like, I want to be a normal person. I don't want to think about fun. I just want to play a video game for an hour and then feel like, okay, cool, like this is all worth it, right? Because like there was a point there for a few months where it was just work, and then I'm like, I'm doing something wrong because I quit my day job, let's say, to do what I love, and now this is all I'm doing. What freedom did I really give up? Mm-hmm. Didn't give up any freedom. So you have to kind of realize that within yourself of dial it back, enjoy the little moments. You're going to go crazy, or what's the point?
And that will prolong your career too. Because if you don't ever get burnt out and say every single time you go to shoot, you're like, I fucking love this. Yep. You're going to say, I can't wait for Tuesday, or I can't wait for Wednesday because I got to shoot with so-and-so. That's a badass fucking job, by the way. To be able to meet people that you admire, or people that you just think are badass, or cool-ass environments, and you're just having a good time. Yeah, it's going to have its stresses like anything else, but that's pretty cool.
I mean, it's cool. Like, I look at like photography as a podcast of sorts in a way too. Like, I get to meet all kinds of different people from different backgrounds, different walks of life, and different professions in their career. Like, one day I'm shooting for a hairstylist or a barber, and I'm talking to them about their techniques or what they do, or then the next day I'm shooting a guy who builds motorcycles from scratch.
That's badass.
And they're welding and they're chopping metal and they're building literally a motorcycle from an idea in their head.
Oh,
and then the next day I'm shooting for a food client who has their own catering business, and it's like elevated, it's upscale food. So you're like, oh, what's this or what's that? You know what I mean? And it's cool to be able to talk to people and learn little bits as I go too. Like, it's not just photos for me. I ask all kinds of questions. I want to learn too. Well, why did you do that way? Oh, well, this is the way I do it. Or, well, this is the way like you should do it. Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. I didn't know that. That's
interesting, man. How I can only imagine how many people you meet on, I guess, a monthly basis. Yeah. How many people are returning customers for you versus brand new people?
I'd say about 70% are returning clients.
That's awesome. So you're just building a portfolio, makes it easy and more relieving. You're like, hey, I got, Francis hitting me back up next Tuesday. That's set in stone. I already know. Yeah. And Francis is going to hit me up every other week until he doesn't want pictures anymore.
Right.
So that's how you survive in the photography world.
And that's how you have to start. You have to start building the return clients. That way you kind of have a sense of like, okay, like I have quite a few clients that are every month or every other month. Okay, I kind of can gauge, I'll be busy. And then the dead spots, you just pick up hopefully new clients or word of mouth. And then also with those return clients, they're the ones that are going to get you more work, because it's like, I shoot with Sean every other month, or I shoot with Sean all the time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You need somebody, here's his info.
Yes.
You need somebody, this is who we use for our business. So
he's
it's like,
the shit, he's professional, he's a dope ass guy.
Versus the one-offs where it's like, oh, they just needed something real quick, cool, you shot an event, boom, and they're off into the sunset. They don't even live in town. It's like, dang it, dude. Like,
which is cool too. Do you do the edits?
Yeah, I do everything.
Oh, what do you use to edit?
So for photos, I do Adobe Lightroom, and then video, I do Adobe Premiere.
Oh, Adobe Premiere. I never used it. I use Final Cut.
Okay.
Yeah, still, it's a bit overwhelming. There's just so much shit that's in there.
What does this button do? And
what's a transition?
Wait, go back. Yeah, it's tough. It's the video side of things. It's like Photoshop on steroids. So if Adobe Lightroom is 5, Photoshop's like a 10, Adobe Premiere would be like 100 in my case, of like, what the hell is this do? How do I do this? It's insane.
For photos? Is it more like enhancing light or saturation and exposure? And
Pretty
shit
much.
like that?
It's relatively basic. Up the exposure a little bit depending on what you want. A little bit of contrast so that way your colors pop, and then a little bit of vibrance too for the same thing. The colors that kind of stick true versus looking at it in real life. It's like with your eyes, or it's okay, but then a photo, you're like, ooh,
Yeah.
a little bit of butter on this.
Yeah, that pops.
So
did you learn this? You say you've been doing this since high school. Did you just learn a little bit along the way, and then you got to where you are now?
Yep.
Oh, that gives me hope. Fuck, it gives me hope.
I didn't go to school. I didn't go to school for photo or video. I actually was gonna go to the Art Institute right after high school for art, for drawing. I wanted to draw. I didn't know what I wanted to draw, but I just liked drawing. And so I was going to take the plunge and go to the Art Institute until I realized that it's like $80,000. And I was like, ooh,
you better be drawing the fucking most badass shit.
I had a reality check, like I said, just out of high school. So I'm 18, and they're like, yeah, for a 4-year degree, be around $80,000. And I'm like, I'm 18. I don't want to be paying that off for the rest of my life. And I'm like, maybe school is not for me.
I'll find another way.
Yeah. Then my neighbor called me and he's like, hey, you want to come work for me? And I'm like, yeah, what do you do again? He's like, oh, I'm an electrician. I'm like, cool. That sounds like a cool job.
Yeah.
And then did that.
How'd you like that?
That was awesome.
Yeah. Was it tough to let it go, or was it just like, hey, man, I'm chasing my dreams. I love this, but I'm chasing my dreams right now?
It was kind of bittersweet. Part of it was I did love doing that, and I've done it, like I said, for 15 years. And the other end of the coin was I'm doing this for me now. I want to pursue my dream. I'm tired of doing photos on the side and juggling. I'm going to go for it. So it was a good...
I know that bittersweet. I was in the military, and I was a deep sea diver in the Army. Absolutely fun. I did some of the most fun, scary shit ever. And I was like, all right, I had a daughter. I was going to be deployed like 6 months out the year. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. More priorities. So leaving the military was bittersweet. So I could kind of relate a little bit.
How'd you get into that? How'd you get into like the deep sea diving part of it though?
So I went to the recruiter, and I took my ASVAB. They're like, here's the list of jobs. I had like 30 jobs I could choose from. And almost all of them were bullshit. I had the intentions. I was like, I'm going to go in there and just do infantry and become a badass. I'm going to go to ranger school and all this other shit. And then the recruiter seen diver, and she was like, diver, deep sea diver. And when she said it, the recruiter behind her jumped out of his seat. It said, fucking diver. He was like, I've never seen that before. That's the most badass job in the Army. I was like, oh, shit, okay. He said, if I was a diver, I would not be getting out of the military. I was like, Then they said it was a 90% dropout rate. I said, fucking sign me up.
Dang.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah, man, let's do it. I'm going to pick the most hardcore shit that I possibly can.
That's
and
awesome.
it was very rewarding. My body's all fucked up. But
oh, really?
Yeah, it was... Dive school could get a bit interesting at times, but I do my yoga and stretch and do what I can to kind of alleviate the pressures and shit like that. But it was a great time. Met some amazing people.
This is something I want to get into is yoga, or just more. You know what I mean? Just more like something to kind of stretch. And like you said, like I'm 30 years old, so I'm getting to the point where you start to like feel the ankle that hurts for no reason.
I'm knocking on 30, man. So
like my ankle. It's my ankle hurts. I don't know why. I didn't do anything to it, but it hurts for a couple days and it goes away. Then it comes back a few weeks. So it's like I should probably start to take care of my body more than when I'm 40, having even worse problems of like I got out of bed and now my back hurts. Yeah, that's just life.
I highly recommend yoga, man. It's really mental relieving, and you're just it's hard as fuck.
Yeah,
it's miserable at times. It hurts, but I do yoga with Adrienne on YouTube. She's absolutely phenomenal, and it's free and shit. I just go downstairs, got my little mat and whatnot. But it's helped alleviate so much pain in my hips and my back. It's strengthened my spine, strengthened my core.
Oh shit!
So highly recommend yoga. You too. Shit, you too that's watching, all 11 of you guys. It might be 12 now. I'm doing big things.
Yeah.
All right, man. So I want to ask you, Michael Chandler.
Okay.
Justin Gaethje is coming up. That's another guy in the 55 division that we didn't mention. Justin Gaethje, fucking badass. They're hopefully fighting Madison Square Garden in November, I think.
Okay.
Who you got?
I would have to lean slightly more towards the edge of Chandler.
Oh, why is that?
I just feel like Chandler has a little bit more tools in the toolbox to get it done. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I there's a lot of like hate as Chandler gets for some reason. I like the dude. Like he
seems very nice.
Dude,
he just talks his shit.
Any video I see on there, I'm like, this dude's a down to earth dude. He's a family dude. Like I don't see how you can't. I don't see how you can't like the guy.
Yeah.
And like I said, fighting style wise, I just lean slightly more towards Chandler.
Those two guys are fucking awesome.
That might be a really good scrap.
They go in there and they fucking let them things go. And then Justin Gaethje has one of the meanest leg kicks of all of MMA.
They're both durable.
They're both wrestlers. So it's going to be interesting. I hope that they stand and just slug it out.
I think they will, because in history, and I might be wrong on this, but we'll roll with it. In history, when like two people of the same discipline fight, they end up canceling. Like they never go for it. So like
both wrestlers. So it's like
they end up standing up the whole
wrestle.
time anyway, because it's like, well, they don't go for it.
Yeah.
So I don't know
That's
if it
point.
does hit the ground in that case, because they're both going to want to try to knock the other person out, right? Versus, oh, you grappled and you got it done. Like it's more. I think there's more pride involved to be like, yeah, we're both wrestling backgrounds, but I just knocked you out,
and you weren't shit.
Yeah.
So the one like big thing that's going to dictate that fight is those leg kicks. If Michael Chandler is going to be able to check the leg kicks, if he has a plan to avoid the leg kicks, because Justin Gaethje
or he throws his own
out.
Throws his own.
Does Michael Chandler throw a lot of leg kicks?
I don't think he's known for it. I think every now and then, but I don't. Not like a Gaethje would be.
Mm-hmm.
Like leg kick wise, Justin would be more likely to throw more than Chandler, but. Like I said, my train of thought is if you know somebody's going to do something, do it to them, right? Like if I'm going to fight Edson Barboza and I know he's going to kick the shit out of me,
I'm glad.
What if I started kicking him first?
Yeah.
Or kicking him too? That way you're like, man, that does
suck.
That sucks.
I like that you brought up Barboza because a lot of people sleep on him. He has some of the best leg kicks at MMA as well, but visually, I think he has the meanest looking leg kick out of everybody. He snaps that fucking leg so fast. That dude is scary.
The second to that would be Jose Aldo back in the day.
Yeah.
Those leg kicks were ferocious too.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see Edson's last fight when he fought Burgos?
I don't think I did. It was just recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was maybe like a few months ago. It was a scrap. Dude, it was a scrap, and it was back and forth, and Burgos was starting to like slightly get the better of Edson, and then Edson, I think he like finished him with a body kick, and it was so delayed that everyone was shook. Like he kicked him in the body, and then Burgos
backed up and then dropped.
Did a few steps back, and then just collapsed.
Yeah,
and everyone was like,
I did see that fight.
What happened there? So
that delay, man. There's like when you get kicked or punched certain places, like the solar plex, for instance, you get hit in the solar plex. You can't breathe.
Body went.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what the fuck just happened?
I think I'm okay. I'm not okay.
Nope, I can't breathe. Don't. I need 5. Yeah. Get the fuck back. And that's COVID, 6 paces.
And that's a crazy feeling, right? Because like, say you're there mentally, you're like, dude, I'm doing good. I'm in this, yada yada, and then your body goes, nope, we're done.
Especially when your mind, you're like, he took a few steps back and then just collapsed.
Yeah.
Because his mind was like, oh man, that hurt, but let's go. We're a fucking warrior. Let's go. And then. Yeah, then the body just like, hey, bro, you're done.
Yeah, shut it off.
Yeah, so let me ask you, your top 5 best UFC fighters ever or favorite?
One would have to be GSP. 2 have to be John Jones. And we're talking strictly fighting, right? Like no stupid things outside, just fighter. Yep. So fighter, 1 would be GSP. 2 would be John Jones. And 3 would be Anderson Silva.
Top 5. Give me 2 more.
2 more. We'll go a little bit more current. I'd say Jose Aldo. His reign was ridiculous. Still has it, right?
What did he go 8 years without losing or some shit?
And then he just beat what's his face a couple weeks ago. I think Pedro Munoz. I think he got a decision on that.
Jose wants to go down.
Ooh,
because He was at 45. He was a 45 champ for a while. He wants to go to 35, become the champ there too.
That's tough.
And you got Jan and Aljamain Sterling and I think they're 125 maybe.
No, they're 135.
135?
Yeah. Aljo and Jan are 135.
Okay.
And then fifth would be I don't know.
These tough questions. on
I'd have to go
Mac.
with Max Holloway.
Yes.
I
was just going to say Max Holloway, one of the most badass motherfuckers in there.
I don't know how I could leave that one out.
Arguable loss against Volkanovski in his last fight. That second one, I thought Max got it. Volkanovski, he's a dope-ass guy, dope-ass fighter, so I'm not going to hate on the guy. But Max Holloway is just my dude. I was also stationed in Hawaii, too, so I got
a little bias there.
Yeah, just a little bit. But dude comes in and he's one of the greatest strikers ever. He'll go in there, and his pace is ridiculous. He'll throw 600-700 punches in a 5-round fight.
And his attitude's cool. Like, you see him before the fight, and he's just like, oh yeah, I'm like
always talking shit about DC.
Yeah, and like again, he's a fighter that, like, personality-wise, you would never really put the two and two together that he is a combat sports athlete or gets beat up for a living or beats up other people for a living, right?
Yeah.
You're like, wow, this guy's really calm and chill. And then it's like, oh yeah, he also just, like you said, he just threw 700 strikes in 25 minutes. Like, what?
Plays video games all the time, just chilling.
So yeah, 5 would be Holloway for sure.
Yeah, man, he's definitely.
What about you?
What's
your 5?
So I gotta go. Not in any particular order. Anderson Silva, John Jones, Max Holloway. The last 2. Man.
It's tough when you don't have like a list, right? Like a list of names.
I don't want to leave anybody out. Right now, Brandon Moreno is just fucking so much fun to watch. He has to put in more work to get in my top 5 all time, but I like him. Dustin Poirier is knocking on the door of top 5. He's a fucking badass. But if I had to put people in there, so them 3 plus Daniel Cormier. I think he's dope. You know, he went from just I'm gonna grab you, put you down the ground, and pound you to I'm gonna hand wrestle with you, throw elbows in the clinch, and fuck you up. I like DC, big DC guy. And that 5th spot, that's a tough one, man. Maybe a little recency bias, but I'm gonna say Israel Adesanya, man.
Oh, okay.
He's a badass.
Not a bad top 5.
You know, I have my particulars, and that list, like you said, if we had a list of fighters all the time,
you can see the hundreds of names.
Maybe I'll make some changes, but for sure, Amanda Nunes instead of Izzy. Izzy has to do more, but Amanda Nunes is a fucking monster.
She's Hall of Fame for sure. She's got that set in stone.
Yeah, for sure. What's up? Oh, it's about to cut off? Yeah. Oh, shit. It's all good. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
All right, so every single time I have somebody that gets on my podcast for the first time, I sit back, I shut the fuck up, I don't say anything. I give you the spotlight to let my 12 people know where to find you at, what you got coming next. Anything you want them to know, this your time. Camera's right there.
Yeah, so my name is Sean Jorg, and you could find me on Instagram at Sean Jorg Photo. And my website is SeanJorg.com, SeanJorg, short and sweet.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, Sean, I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having
getting
me.
on the podcast. You know, you're, like I said, you're my guinea pig, one of the first people actually in the new studio, checking it out, feeling it out. So I appreciate you. But that sums it up for the next episode of Talk Smack with Mac. We out.